This is Season 4, Episode 4 of my modular journey, and today I want to dive into the Delta V. Is that its real name, or is it Delta 5? There's a dash in here, so I'm going to go with V. The Delta V function generator by Cosmotronic. This is the only module by Cosmotronic I own currently, but it was a must-have. It's been on the list for a couple of years, and then it finally popped up on Reverb, so of course I snagged it as soon as it did. It came in on February 7th of 2023, and it costs around $220. What is Delta V function generator? At its core, the Delta V is a fully analog dual-channel function generator with a dedicated VCA and LFO cycle for each channel. You can generate envelopes, slew gates and signals, or run LFOs with control over attack and decay times, which is what you heard in the little intro there. The shape knob allows for creating a wide range of envelopes. There's even a sum output which combines the two channels with attenuverters to modulate and invert the signals being processed. So why I chose the Delta V? To me, it sounded like a pretty neat little tool to explore. The term function generator always terrifies me, as complex as maths is said to be, but Delta V seemed similar in some respects, but like maybe a mini maths, if I can be so bold. I chose it mostly because it was on a wish list for years and finally became available way back in February of 2023, and it's been sitting in my rack ever since. How I plan to use it is simple. I've already used Delta V in quite a number of patches, in fact, but a few use cases for me might be voltage-controlled envelopes or modulations of those envelopes randomly, slowly over time, the usual stuff you do in modular. So as far as a demo goes, I'm going to warn you ahead of time, I don't know a whole lot about this module yet, except for a couple of envelopes or LFO things I've done with it. I haven't really gotten too deep, so this is literally going to be what I know about it right now, which is these running LFOs right here. A moment ago, I just had this patch running. Let me actually just pull out my... Hold on a moment. Let me turn down my sound so I'm not blowing my own ears out. I'm going to pull out the trigger here so I can hear plats. So what you hear going on right now is Delta V is in this LFO looping mode, and it's using the attack and decay knobs to set how those peaks go. So of course a faster attack means a faster peak. And you slow down the speed of the envelope by raising the decay. So what's going on right now is I have Delta V coming out of 1 and 2 here to data. You can see the red and blue trace. So let me turn these up a little bit so you can see something on the trace here. So red and blue trace, red and blue wires over here to plats again. I'm using plats because it's just so handy. And I'm doing again timbre and morph with CV out of Delta V in looping LFO mode. So if I lower the speed of the decay. Wait, is that how that works? Lower the speed. You can see that's pretty interesting. Hold on here. I guess what I'm trying to show is using the looping LFOs, you can use the attack and decay slopes to continually modulate something else, like in this case, timbre and morph. We have attack and decay and shape. Shape is exponential over here, like for the first half of the dial is exponential. We also have linear up here, and then for like a quarter of the dial, and then something called logarithmic. And there's two channels, so here's one side and here's two sides, and they come out separately with these, so you can have two different types going on. So if I was to take an external LFO, for instance, like maybe something from Batumi up here, I'm going to take a LFO from an actual LFO, a sine wave out of Batumi, and I'm going to come down here to this attack and decay parameters here. Let's listen to how it changes. How does that change the attack of the first channel? Up here I have Batumi, which is a sine wave that's going up and down, and it's changing the attack pot of this running LFO here, and so it's causing a change over time. And because, again, there's separate channels, you can do anything you want to the second channel and just come up with some pretty interesting sounds. So how would I use it? Probably not like that necessarily, but it's again just showing that you could use external modulation to modulate the modulators and then get two different things going on out of this little module. You got a left side, channel 1 and a channel 2 doing multiple things. And there are a lot of other places to patch here. And I'm not going to go through all of these because I honestly haven't discovered them myself. But there is one more thing that's interesting here, and that's they both have an end of chain, I think is what EOC stands for. So it's an end of chain. Whenever that envelope comes to an end, or whenever that cycle comes to an end, or maybe that's what C is, end of cycle. Whenever that cycle comes to an end, it triggers something. And I see that a lot on some of my envelope generators, where when that envelope is done running, it triggers a signal to trigger something else to happen. And that could be used for, anything really. Trigger a VCA or trigger an envelope to actually do something through a VCA. So it's pretty cool. I don't know that I have anything more to talk about right yet with it. Again, it's one of my utility modules that I use in the rack, kind of like Modbox or the skippers over here, or anything else that's just a utility to do something with. Even Ornament and Crime, as awesome as Ornament and Crime is to me, I tend to use it a lot as just an envelope generator. So the function generator here does a lot more than just envelopes. But I do tend to use it a lot just for setting up a quick envelope. But these running LFOs here, and some of these slew and trigger options down here, and modulating the attack and decay parameters with something else on a random chance, really adds a lot of musicality, I think, to Modular. So that is it for episode 4, the Delta V by Cosmotronic. And sorry it's not more, that's all I know about it right now. Coming up next is the Qubit Electronics Data Bender, which you've seen in 100 of my videos so far. I've had it for a very long time, and now we're finally going to get to talk about it. It is an amazing effects device, so stay tuned for that.